If you're ready to build an API in the Django REST framework in no time at all, this is the video for you. This is what we will be building, this API endpoint that returns this list of your pets. So if you're ready, then let's get started. Okay, so welcome to this Django REST framework crash course. Let's dive right in and get started. So the first thing we're going to want to do is create a virtual environment. So Python make virtual environment env. So then once that's set up, we'll go ahead and activate it. So we'll go source env scripts activate. And now we can install Django. So we'll say pip install Django. And then once that's successfully installed, we can install Django REST Framework. Django REST Framework like so. And now that that's set up, we can go ahead and create a project. So Django-admin start project config dot. So it just creates this project in this current folder. And you can see up here that we have this config folder now, this project. And let's go ahead and make an app. So Python manage.py start app, and we'll call it pets, because we're going to be making a list of pets here and returning them with Django REST Framework. And so now we need to go to the config, the project settings, and go down to our installed apps and add these two apps. So REST_framework and then pets. Save that. Now we can close this terminal for the time being. So Control tilde. And then we want to actually start creating the models. So let's go into the pets app models, and let's just create a class pet and models.model, and we'll give it a name field equals models.carfield, and we'll say max_length equals 100, and then we'll just duplicate that, shift alt down arrow if you're on a PC, and we'll say type with the same field. Okay, and the next thing we want to make is a serializer. So we'll go into the pets app, right click new file, serializers.py. And serializers are ways to transform Python objects into and out of sort of JavaScript readable objects, JSON objects basically. And so we can import from REST_framework, import serializers. And then we can also import from .models, import pet, because that's what we're going to be serializing. And then we can create a class pet serializer. So the convention is the model serializer. And then Django REST Framework comes with a model serializer. So we can use model serializer, which makes it really easy to serialize basically each field of a model. You can do it manually, but this is just a nice way to serialize these models. And you only have to set a few options. So you can override class meta, and you can just say model equals, and then the name of the model, so pet, and then the fields that you want to include. And we'll say __all to include all of the fields. And there you go, that's our serializer set up. So basically it will take this pet model, each object of the pet, and serialize it into and out of JSON. And the next step is to create a view. So this was just same thing as normal Django. Go into your views.py, and we're going to import some things though. We're going to say from REST framework.decorators import API view, which adds a bit of functionality to the request and the response to make it more fitting for this REST framework. And then from REST framework.response import response, which is REST framework response, a JSON response. And then we can just create a view here. So we can say def pet list, and we can take the request. And then for now we'll just pass this, and we want to decorate this. So we'll say at API view, which we import at the top, and then we can pass in as a list what methods we want to accept. And we'll just say we'll accept get requests for now. And we also need to import our serializer and our models. So from .serializers import pet serializer, and from .models import pet. import pet. And then in this function, we'll just return a list of our pets. So we'll say pets equal pet.objects.all. So you're just using the Django ORM. And we want to say serializer equals pet serializer, specifying instances. So we'll pass in pets, this list of pets, and then many equals true. And then all we have to do is return this response that we imported at the top and pass in the serializer.data, so the data that gets returned from the serializer. And the next thing to do now is hook up this view to a URL. So we'll do this in the project URLs. So we'll go config urls.py and we'll import the view. So from pets.views import pet list. Then we'll go ahead and add a new path, and we'll just say at the home path, and we'll say pet list. So perfect, now we have this URL endpoint set up. And now before we go any further, let's set up the migrations so the models can actually be saved and created in the database. So we'll open back up the terminal, and we'll say python manage.py make migrations. And it created that migration. And we'll say python manage.py migrate. And since this is the first time we're running this migrate, we'll also run these built-in Django migrations. So that's all set up. And now we want to actually seed the database with some data. So we could either set that up in the admin, or we can just do it right from this Django shell. So we can say python manage.py shell, and that'll give us this interactive shell. We could say from pets.models import pet, and then we can go ahead and just create some pets. So pet.objects.create, name equals, we'll say bow, type equals dog, and we'll create two more, maybe pet.objects.create, and you can name these whatever you want, right? Name equals spot, type equals dog, and then we'll create one that's a cat. So we'll say pet.objects.create, name equals whiskers, type equals cat. Perfect, and then type exit to get out. So now we have these three pet objects in our database. And now the final thing to do is really just run the server and view the API endpoint. So we'll say python manage.py run server, and we'll control click to open this tab and bring it over into the viewport, and we can zoom in a bit. And we can see that with Django REST Framework, they give us this browsable API, it's called, so we get this kind of interface to actually view the data. And if we just click this get drop down and select JSON, then you can see this is how the raw data would actually look if you were going to be sending this to another application or retrieving this from your front end like React app or from a different server. You see we have the name, the type, Django automatically gives an ID. And so that was it. So this is the Django REST Framework in a nutshell. Hope you enjoyed it. If you found some value, I would appreciate it if you liked it. Subscribe for more videos on Django and React, and also leave a comment if this was helpful. It really means a lot to me. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.